Mr. President.
Senator from West Virginia.
Mr. President, I rise also to speak about the stream buffer rule, and I want everyone to know that the state of West Virginia has been a heavy lifting state. We've been an extraction state. We do mining. We mine the coal that makes the steel, that built the guns and factories that basically defended us and give us the great country we have. So we've done everything, and there's no one in West Virginia that wants dirty water or dirty air. No one in Oklahoma, no one in any extraction state. And for pitting people against each other is just wrong. The way this comes down is it's strictly a duplicative rule, the stream buffer rule that was put in place. My colleagues know last year the Department of Interior Office of Surface Mining and Reclamation Enforcement basically decided to send its final stream protection rule to the White House without fulfilling obligations, and even a request by myself to please work with the local authorities, work with the states that are involved. They did nothing. They would not reach out to us whatsoever. This was one of many of President Obama's administration's regulations that absolutely crippled West Virginia families and businesses with no plan to replace or create new jobs or help these communities. Not only is this rule very alarming, Mr. President, in scope and potential impacts, the rulemaking was executed in a very flawed way. Rules by the Department of Interior and Office of Surface Mining and Reclamation must be based on comprehensive data that is available to stakeholders, particularly when those rules threaten to eliminate thousands of jobs. All we have asked is come and talk to the Department of the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection in West Virginia, and tell us what's not working. Tell us what you want us to do different. Work with us and help us strengthen if there's a flaw. Not once did we ever get that type of courtesy. States critical to the implementation of this rule were left out of the process in any meaningful way. The Office of Surface Mining failed to work with states throughout this process despite their clear congressional intent. Furthermore, agencies should not be assuming duplicative rules that overlap with regulations under other environmental laws such as the Clean Water Act. This rule is excessive and duplicative. It has over 400 changes to the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act, which is what we refer to as SMCRA, that duplicate existing practices and protections that the EPA and the Army Corps already oversaw. So basically, you already have two agencies that have to do with any type of permitting for water. The 404 permit goes through EPA with conjunction and in with alliance with the Army Corps. This overstepped and took all powers away from them completely. Why would you want to duplicate? If you have an agency that's not doing its job, either change the personnel or get rid of the agency, not just put another duplicative rule and another agency to oversee it. During my time in the Senate, I've been committed to policies that protect our coal mining communities and economies, and that is why I introduced this resolution of disapproval to undo this harmful, duplicative regulation. I am a firm believer in the balance between the economy and the environment. I believe that everything we do in life should have a balance, and you should try to find that balance. But when you're trying to basically put overreaching, duplicative rules, a nuisance which do nothing but create havoc and make it almost impossible to go forward, you can't hire enough lawyers and enough accountants to get through the paperwork that government can put on you. But never, never once do any of us from West Virginia or any other state that does the heavy lifting think that we should discard the Clean Water Act or the Clean Air Act. Those are things that we cherish and we will protect. And those came about by Republican and Democrats working together, Republican administrations. We're all for that. We're just not for beating us over the head with a hammer, you follow me, when you can help us work and fix things if you think there's an error been done. The consequences of this regulation will have far-reaching impacts on the future of not only coal mining and therefore all other things that we do count on. I think the senator from Oklahoma just said. In West Virginia, we have what we call all of the above energy. We want all of the above to be used and use it in the cleanest fashion and design and develop and find new technologies that we can use what we depend on. We depend on coal, we depend on natural gas, we depend on nuclear power for the majority of our energy. And the only thing I've said that I believe that we should be developing the renewables also, and we're doing that. Wind and solar, biomass, we do everything. But if you believe that that's going to run the country and the energy that you use every day and take for granted, then tell me what 4 hours of the day you want your electricity to work. What 4 hours of the day do you want your refrigerator to stay cold? What 4 hours of the day do you want to heat your home? Tell me what 4 hours of the day that you take for granted that anything and everything you want works 24 hours a day, because you will not have base load. That's the facts. If you don't like it, then let's continue to work to make it better. But don't just put your head in the sand and say, oh, I'm going to have whatever I have, all the luxuries. This will work fine. And I've got no fossil. I don't need fossil. I'm sorry, the world doesn't work that way. This country doesn't operate. The grid system, your light switch doesn't work that way. So today, once again, I'm standing on behalf of West Virginians, common sense people all over this country, and we have a lot of them in West Virginia, to ask my colleagues to hear out our voices and vote in support of this resolution that gets rid of these overreaching, duplicative rules that do nothing but create havoc on the economy and the well-being of the citizens of our great country. Thank you, Mr. President.